Hello and welcome to Ula Tea Leaf Readings. My name is Lenor and tonight I'm going to be reading your tea leaves. This is a horoscope for Libra. If Libra is your solar, lunar, ascendant/rising sign, then this is a message for you. Okay, let's go ahead and get started. Okay, let's check this bowl out. See what these tea leaves have to say. And so our card tonight is going to be Strength or Lust. And this is from the Thoth deck. So this is a card with a lot of energy. A lot of kind of being in your luster. There's a sense of coming into yourself, into your strength, really being activated, and only through that strength can you really become so alive in that sense of it's not just idle lust, right? This is a sense of fullness, of lush, of great beauty and meaning, and a wealth of emotion and desire, and that's a pretty interesting place to come to, isn't it? When we find ourselves in these, it's almost kind of swollen with life, swollen with the enchantment of nature and the elements and, potential. And it's not something that we always have, is it? But it is something that when it does come about, it feels very special. Okay, so let's take a look. We have a little bird here. This one reminds me so much of maybe a little blue jay there. A beautiful bird, a little bit mean, right? But self-assured, and definitely has that sharpness of communication, right to the point. These blue jays, they don't mess around, and they don't waste their time, their energy. I have a family of blue jays that kind of live here around the year. I see them mostly in winter, but they definitely let it be known when they're coming around. And there's the cat back there cleaning herself, as you can see. And anyways, I feel like for you, you really enjoy expressing your energy, your vitality. You have great enthusiasm in many of the things that you experience in life, especially right now in this configuration. So I think that is kind of a wonderful feeling. We also have a little butterfly here, definitely a sign of transformation. You have undergone a lot of self-work, and you've really, I think, been working to reframe parts of your life, how you experience the world, how you kind of experience maybe your self-mythology, and expanding your perceptions. And I think a lot of this has to do with love for you. I am looking up here, and I'm kind of seeing, it looks like a person it looks like a bit of a chaotic scene. Okay, first of all. And it looks like a person who's kind of dragging somebody, kicking and screaming. There's seems like there's been an argument, right? And then behind we see kind of another person following, maybe somebody up here kind of trying to stop the situation. It just seems a little bit chaotic. And so I wonder, with this kind of notion of love, at least the experience of love, how our beliefs about love, about relationships, I wonder if maybe in your youth there was some kind of troubled love affair that you were witnessing. And I don't mean necessarily like an extramarital affair or anything like that, but a relationship that was kind of a foundational, kind of a role model, kind of the standard of what relationships maybe were like for you. And likely your parents, maybe your grandparents, somebody in the family. And it seems maybe that they had some troubles. Maybe they argued a lot. Maybe, there was a lot of disagreements, divorce, separation, whatever, maybe even more escalated than that. But I think that this intensity and this like dramatic nature, in some ways feels like it possibly kind of put you off of wanting to ever really have a relationship, at least in your youth. I think that this is kind of like, I never want to be like this. I don't want to ever encounter this kind of dynamic. Kind of really intentionally avoiding anything that was similar. Oftentimes, even if we do avoid aspects of, especially our parents, right, or our caretakers, even if we avoid their behaviors, their choices, their faults, sometimes they end up manifesting if we haven't done a lot of kind of trauma resolution or, kind of processing some of the difficulties, really kind of working through those things, maybe integrating them, understanding how our choices might lead to some similar dynamics. And I think that maybe, in your past, you ended up in a situation that maybe wasn't exactly the same, but there were parts of it that reminded you of those kind of tumultuous relationships from those, beginning years of your life. And I think that, that was probably fairly heartbreaking for you. I think that, there's a real heaviness to the idea that we are repeating the mistakes of our parents, of our family members, people we love, but, we know them well enough that they are flawed, of course, they're humans. But when you take on those similar kind of dynamics, it can be really disheartening, right? Especially if you are aware of it or you become aware, and feel kind of sometimes doomed to this like cyclic curse or, family kind of sickness. But the good news is, oftentimes when you are aware and you do feel resistant to kind of recreating those kinds of situations, those dynamics, those relationships, we can kind of really stop ourselves, find the assistance that we need, be it through therapy, through, support of others, divine relationships with, the universe, spirit, God, whoever it is that has that kind of guiding, nurturing force for you. And through that self-work, through that therapeutic work, that healing work, hopefully able to break some of those cycles. And I see here we have kind of a loop, but it's broken. It's broken off. And I really feel that this has been very important to you to, you know, change the course of things. And I feel like this is maybe something that's even past, you know, quite a while ago, maybe even more recently. I don't know exactly, but I think that this is something that, you know, you will continue to work on. These things, they take time, right? And sometimes we, what, you know, you call kind of in recovery, backslide. And sometimes we, even though we are aware and we have worked on some of the problems, we can go back into old kinds of modes, because that's what feels familiar. It feels kind of like home in some strange way, right? So I think that, you know, you've really actively tried to break that up and figure out how to go on without this, you know, without this thing that you've been carrying around that has kind of, you know, unfortunately, these things kind of get conditioned into us. And even if we know something isn't healthy or right for us, when we experience it, especially in those formative years, it kind of, you know, really gets like mapped into our neural pathways. And so you're working against some deep conditioning, but that doesn't mean that you can't change it. Okay. Now let's see, what else do we have here? And really, I want to get back to some more of this about this card here, because I really feel very certain that there is so much love happening, and it doesn't need to be romantic, but I feel that you really are in this dreamy place. And I see this beautiful kind of tree here, little path, and we have another bird. I just imagine you being out in these kind of a lush park or foresty area, whatever it is, if it is in the physical or if this is kind of a place you go in your mind. I really see you kind of being drawn to these places of mystery and wilderness, wild, primal kinds of yearnings, and really connecting to that part of yourself that is, you know, kind of arcane and you know, often lost to us in this modern world, but allowing yourself the space to just kind of be a little bit messy. And you know, I imagine kind of dancing and writhing around like at a in front of a fire or something, a campfire, and just, you know, getting those kind of primal urges out. Very much also a deep and potent creative energy there. I think that, you know, this, when we get this strength and lust energies, there's almost this feeling of, you know, not unlike giving birth to a child, when some creative seed has been planted and needs to get out. It's, you know, it's ready to be birthed into the world. There's almost no way to stop that feeling of it needing to be put down on paper or, you know, whatever your medium is, you know, canvas, making music, dancing, crafting, you know, doing some kind of technical work. I don't know, coding or something. But when these things come to be, you can't stop them from coming out of you. You know what I mean? And I feel like that's kind of that. It's just that splendor of deep creativity, but also those like, you know, like tremors of the ensuing quake, right? Of just that creative force. And that seems very alive in you right now, very much. I don't even think that I don't see a lot of stuff within the mundane life going. She's really getting going to town on her stomach there. I don't see a lot of the mundane stuff. I feel like you are so preoccupied with these kind of higher pursuits, higher thinking. I even see this little whale right here. And the whale for me, and I would say is more of a traditional, you know, attributes that are kind of within the symbol of the whale, are deep wisdom, psychic abilities, the ability to communicate with people deeply, not just like on a superficial level. I think that when you really speak to somebody, you are able to engage with them in a way that is very moving to them. I think that you probably also have an ability to heal others. I think people are drawn to you, your light. But I also think that you are not afraid of going about life independently. And I think that's another reason that people are very drawn to you, because you're strong. Now, I think that sometimes when you do attract people, sometimes they are because you have that kind of healing ability, psychic ability, you sometimes attract people who are injured or wounded or broken in some way. And they are looking for somebody to help heal them, guide them, and teach them. And, that's all well and good, but sometimes, that can be very tiring. Sometimes that's just not what you want in life. That's not that dynamic that you're looking for, right? That kind of circles back to the beginning of this. So I think, you have had to make some difficult decisions to cut people out or not, go too deeply with some people, because it's a drain. It can be chaotic bringing people like that into your life, or allowing them close to your very personal life, to your temple. And, it makes sense to sometimes, slow that down, create some space, preserve your peace, which of course that is, the priority. And so, I think that this part of your life, you really know yourself so well, and you know what you like, you know what you want, you know what you need. And I think that you are becoming quite remarkable at fulfilling yourself. And that's a most wonderful blessing. Okay, now let's check this one out. Let's see. And now I say all this, but there's a bunch of little hearts here. So I do think that even with all of this that I've been saying, I do think that there is a relationship of some kind, or at least a flirtation. Somebody has your eye a bit anyways. And I think that this is a very nice time to kind of become entwined in some ways, to kind of be close, you know, but also retain that autonomy. And I think that, you know, that ability for liberal movement is important to you. And I think that when you connect with somebody and they vibe with you in that way, that's even more attractive to you. And so I think that, you know, whoever this is, I think that you both honor one another and things seem to be going pretty well. So that's good news. That's not bad news. Okay, and let me just look at this really quick. I just want to kind of look, see anything else really of importance here. I don't, you know, basically what we saw before, we have a lot of birds in here. This one's interesting though. It looks like a person who is crawling on their hands and knees, almost like a half animal, half person. And you know, to me, when I see something like this, it looks like almost like a shape shifting, the ability to kind of change, not, and this is not in a bad way, but to change for your environment, to adapt. You're maybe a really adaptable person. Maybe this is this partially could be because of your childhood. I talk about this with people a lot I'm in recovery, and a lot of the people I have spoken to throughout my career, so to speak, in recovery, we're children of addicts, almost all of us, I would say. And oftentimes when you grow up around addiction or a house that is, you know, there's a lot going on, a lot of intense emotions and blow-ups and things, you can become kind of you have to kind of be able to take the temperature of the environment constantly and shift into different modes of, you know, being to accommodate the people around you. And I think that maybe that this is kind of something that you have taken with you. Now, is this always, it can come from a place that's very painful, of course. Now, as an older person, I don't think that this is always something that we need to get rid of. You know, this is something that is a coping mechanism. And if we are able to kind of exist differently in different places, that's not always a bad thing. It kind of really sometimes can be very helpful, especially if you are in a career that is not super fulfilling. If you are doing tedious work, or you're around people in a high stress situation constantly, you know, medical or therapies, or, you know, I mean, there's all like first responder, or I don't, you know, a lot of different teacher, just coming up with careers here, but, you know, a lot of different things, very stressful. And, you know, you almost have to kind of create a different kind of mode of existing to kind of maintain in those kinds of environments. And so I think that this, you know, can become almost like a superpower for some people. Other people, I think, also, you know, they just learn to dissociate and sometimes can't control that. I myself have problem dissociating sometimes, and I find myself just kind of totally a million miles away from my own body, and with, like, you know, a little bit of lost time here and there. And it's gotten better over the years with a lot of therapy and, you know, trying to become very, you know, just aware of, you know, how I'm feeling and checking in with myself and such. But, you know, that's another thing that can come about. And You know, if that's the case, that might be something to think about talking to a therapist or a counselor about. I know some of you are probably tired of me talking about therapy, but, you know, I really think that it can help people, especially if you have, you know, the privilege to access therapy. I think that, you know, it doesn't hurt anybody to try it. But other than that, I just wanted to show this one, and then we'll wrap it up right here. We have this candle, and it looks like it's being blown, but it's staying lit. And there's another candle here, and I think that this is very much about that illumination. Really just so the ability to see yourself, parts of yourself, your interior worlds. You are very, very in touch with your psyche, with your moods, your passions, movements, all these things. And even when you start to get away from that, you know, your life gets busy, or, you know, you go into maybe like a spell of melancholy or something, and you feel detached from these aspects of self, your flame still stays lit, okay? And that wind is not going to blow it out. And it absolutely can't. And so I think that you are really just a very, you know, a very evolved being. And, you know, probably as you continue to work on your abilities, you will only gain more and more insight. And, you know, that's a very special thing. Okay, I want to thank you so much for spending this time with me. I always appreciate being able to bring these messages to you. It really, truly is an honor. If you would be so kind as to like the video, it helps us get into the algorithm and grow. We're growing as a community here, you know, one person at a time. And each of you means so much. If you haven't yet subscribed, please think about doing that. You can hit the little bell. It'll let you know when the next videos come out. I don't want you to miss any of your readings. You can definitely watch your other placements or do some cross-watching. And other than that, if you want to leave a comment, let me know how you're doing. Let me know what's going on with you. I read all of them, and I do my best to get back to them, back to you in a timely manner. So I want to thank you, and we will talk again real soon.